Hello, this is Paul, and I am teaching Open Office on Saturday afternoons over at the First Church of the Brethren at Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and 1:30 in the afternoon. Be sure to stop by if you have any questions about what we're talking about here, or other problems that you might be having with your computer, be able to try to help you out. In our last session, we just got done talking about entering an equation where we use the equal sign and use brackets to give it priority. Normally, multiplications and divisions will take first, unless the addition is in parentheses, and then it'll bring up the numbers that we are looking for. Now, in this, we have run into a couple problems that was brought up in our classes where files were opened, worked on, and was unable to save them with the same name for a variety of reasons. There's a couple things that you can do to get around this. When opening a file, you will be able to use it, save it as a secondary file or a temporary file, while the other file stays intact. Now, what happens with this is that for some reason it thinks that the file might be open somewhere else, and it might not be, but there are certain backup files written that might register it as it is. To handle this problem, you're going to have to save it as a new file with a temporary name. And if you can't think of a temporary name, then there's one of two things you can do. Just call it temp, T-E-M-P. Or you can put a number after the name as it was originally written, and that would also give it a different name. So there's a couple things you can do. Now, once you save it in that different name, you'll be able to, in that process, to do this, you will go to the File menu on the drop-down menu and select Save As. And when you do that, you will give it the new name, which I chose Temp. And over here on the right side, you'll see a button there to save the file, and you have just saved your file. You do not have to lose your information. After that, you will close the file. Once it is closed, you can bring up a directory. Don't be misled with what is displayed here, because I am using Windows 7 right now. But take notice that the original name and a temp is also displayed. Now, what you do is you delete the unwanted file. Sometimes this could be a resource that you might get confused with what you're doing. Save the file in a temporary file and go back and reopen the original file and start over. Meanwhile, the one that you got lost on is still intact, that you can go back and go over what you did and be able to remember your mistakes. Or if it was a mistake, it was what you intended. So just an added resource, okay? But if you're done with it, you can get rid of the unwanted file and rename the temp file to the original name, and you have just made the transition, okay? With that in mind, you will be able to relate to your files as you originally did, and be able to move on with what was, with the original name. Okay. So what we had was some jitters or things that made you nervous when you might be typing away, putting information into your application, whether if it be a Word document or a Writer document or a spreadsheet or anything else. And I had people say, well, I run into times which my machine would only sound a bell every time I press the button. Here's what's happening. OpenOffice will write temporary files. The purpose of it is in case you lose power and your machine shuts down while the file is still open. When you go to open that file again, OpenOffice will recover that file and bring you back to where you were, okay, with no lost information. It is the procedure that goes on. If this happens, sit back and let the machine do its job. You'll notice down on the status bar on the bottom of the screen a bar going across showing this activity. Once it is completed, the machine will return its control back to you and you'll be able to proceed with your project. So I hope this little bit of tidbit is useful for you, and thank you. And we're ready to move on to the next unit. Thank you.